Another really good area to fish pre-runoff for cutthroat is side channels and backwater areas. These areas, when the river level comes up, collect fish because there's a lot easier and softer current seams for them to sit in. We've had a few bugs pop in here, and we've got a few fish to come up and eat dry flies. In this particular area, we have some really nice soft current seams on the inside of this side channel, and then a really hard current on the outside seam. I don't want to put my fly in that hard current seam because most of the fish are actually relatively close. You can see I'm actually standing just on the gravel bar here. So I really don't need to make a long cast. When I lay that fly out, I'm going to make a 20 to 30 foot cast max. And because the current is slowest near my rod tip here, I'm actually going to mend downstream in order for my line to keep up with the fly. Again, you don't need to make a long cast during these pre-runoff periods, and you also don't need to wade out into the river most of the time. All right, one last tip for you on fly fishing walk wade pre-season on the North Fork of the Coeur and St. Joe rivers. Today's tip actually we're actually not going to the river for this. We're actually going to go to my website, silverbowflyshop.com, and we're going to look through a few different things. Here's actually my brother who built this awesome website, holding a nice cutthroat from a couple weeks ago. And for this tip, let's go to fishing reports, which you can see is in the left toolbar here. And we're going to look at, obviously we have a bunch of rivers, but we're going to look at the North Fork of the Coeur and the St. Joe systems. Let's click on the St. Joe first. I try to keep these reports up to date fairly often. Once in a while I slack or get too busy, but I try to keep them pretty up to date, especially this time of the year when lots of stuff starts going on. Let's now focus on the St. Joe USGS Streamflow gauge. This is a USGS feed we have built right into the website on the fishing reports page for each river. And let's talk about Streamflow here and how a river will kind of rise and drop throughout this time of the year. This is pretty common. This is nothing to freak out about. Having a little bump in the flows like that is nothing major. So most people, when they look at this, think, oh my God, the river's blown out, we're screwed, can't fish, we're done. This is definitely not the case. This river was pretty rock in the last couple days. Not the level, the fishing. The fishing was excellent. So here last week, water level is fairly stable. Fish fine. It was not super good, but it was pretty decent. The river level shot up because we had a little rain, a low elevation snow melt. The streamer fishing got super good. Anytime you have these rises or drops in the river flow, that can really stir the fish up or whatever it is. I don't know the exact science behind it, but for whatever reason it gets the fish real active, and they really get on the streamer bite. And you can see the flow. Let's look at the flow here for a second. This is 3,000 CFS. This is just a little below 5,000. That sounds like a lot, but it really isn't. It's a pretty good sized river, so that size of flow does not change the actual height of the river that much. It's still very fishable at those levels for walk wade. It's especially fishable out of a boat, but today's focus is walk wade, so we won't mention that. We fished it here as well. The dry fly fishing was super good. And like I mentioned, the streamer fishing is really good for some clients we had on guide trips during these last couple days there. Now let's look at this a little bit closer. You can click on the prediction flow page. The prediction flow, now this is a feed from the National Weather Service's river forecast page. A prediction flow is basically obviously what it states. It's a future forecast of what's going to potentially happen to the river. There's a lot of ifs here, a lot of variables. I'm going to say this page is 60% accurate. This river is going to drop a little bit, looks like, then maybe rise and have a little bump just past the weekend. That's not a major bump. I wouldn't be too concerned with that. I've fished this river up into this neck of the woods here for CFS, and it's still fairly decent even at those levels. Now on foot though, I will say that's pretty challenging to find wade spots, and you do got to be very careful. And like we mentioned in the videos, you don't need to wade at those type of levels at all. but you can hit some pockets from shore and probably find a few fish. Let's go back now to the main fishing reports page. Same thing on the Coeur d'Alene, try to keep the reports up to date fairly often, and we also have that same USGS feed on the Streamflow. So now the Coeur d'Alene, you can see that spike in the flows, it also almost doubled in size, but the spike just is a little bit faster. It rose a little bit harder and quicker. So I'm going to say it probably didn't fish that well right there, but it's going to start fishing right now and as it drops. I do like the rivers and how they fish on the rise, though. I'm definitely not one to skip out on fishing when that river's rising, like I mentioned earlier. But it will definitely fish this week as it drops. And we'll take a quick peek at that prediction flow too. Doesn't look too bad. It's not going to get too high. And again, this can change throughout the week, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. It's only really accurate for the next day or two. Other than that, it's a shot in the dark, really. One last piece of information for you. It's worth checking out the blog page occasionally. I try to keep this up to date as well. And you'll notice just a couple posts down, I have a little deal on fishing in North Idaho, which is kind of similar information to what we talk about in the videos recently, but also includes a hatch chart. It's not exact. It'll give you a ballpark idea, though, of what to expect this time of the year. So this should really up your game on the North Idaho streams between the videos and also checking out the website for current information. And if you ever have questions, obviously, please call us or email, and we'll certainly help you out.